All right, welcome back to the Kian and the Prez show, where we talk all things NFL, and we're going to finish our predictions for this year by giving you our end of year awards, our AFC and NFC championship picks, and our Super Bowl picks. So let's get right to it. Kian says I have to go first this round, so we're going to start with Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I'm going to go with the top 5 pick. I'm going to go with a quarterback. Not the quarterback you think, though. I'm going to go with the one in Washington, Jayden Daniels. Here's the reason. Twofold. One, I think the Bears have a really good defense and aren't going to need Caleb to do as much as the Commanders are going to need to do. I think the Commanders are going to be behind. I think also Jayden Daniels is going to run the ball more. So I think he's going to have more opportunities. He's going to put up some crazy stats. We're going to see some stat lines where he's thrown for 250 yards and ran for 80 in a game where they lose. But his stats are going to look really, really good, and I think he's going to play well. So give me Offensive Rookie of the Year. Give me Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
Who do you got for Rookie of the Year? Offensive.
For Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
There are some, I guess, concerns with all of the quarterbacks drafted in the first round, like the point you made about Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels. He doesn't really have a great supporting cast. Drake May might not get as much playing time.
He's not even starting, yeah.
And Michael Penix is
Not starting either.
Isn't starting, and hopefully won't have to play this year. And Bo Nix is not on a very good team either. But Marvin Harrison Jr. has a pretty good quarterback behind a decent offensive line, and I think he will be a wide receiver 1 as a rookie, and I think he will be throwing a lot of passes, and I think he'll be able to catch a lot of passes. I think he is a great player, and I think he has a very good chance, and I think he's the most certain for me of being good this year and being productive. So I have him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right. Next up, we have Defensive Rookie of the Year, and for me, I'm going with an edge rusher, Laiatu. Thank you. What he said. That one for the Colts. I think he's going in a good situation. They need him badly. I think he's going into a division where there's going to be opportunities to make multiple plays, and I like their schedule. And I think he's just going to come in and be an impact player. I know there's the injury concerns with him, but from everything I've seen of when he's played healthy and been productive, I think he's going to be an exciting player. I think he's going to make an impact right away, especially for that Colts team. So I have him winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you got?
I have Jared Verse winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was the third of, I think, 5 edge rushers taken in the first round. And he is a great power rusher, and I think he's going to a team that needs him a lot. They don't really have much competition for the edge rusher spot to go with Byron Young, who was a pretty good rookie last year. So I think Jared Verse will get a lot of playing time, and I think he'll be able to get some sacks and bully offensive tackles, and I think he will be able to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he has a better chance than the other edge rushers. I think Laiatu probably has the next best chance to win this. I think he might have a little more competition than Jared Verse, but I think it is a little bit of a toss-up between the two. And I don't think Dallas Turner will be playing very much in his rookie year. So I think Jared Verse has the best chance at edge rusher for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Although I do think some other good players like Quinyon Mitchell or Terrion Arnold also have a good chance.
Okay. All right. Next up, Coach of the Year, and I'm picking a guy that could have won it last year in my mind. We had a lot of good candidates last year, but he definitely could have won it last year. And since I'm thinking his team is going to be the number one seed in the NFC this year, I'm going with Dan Campbell. I think Detroit's going to have a phenomenal year. I think they're going to be the best team in the NFC. And I think Dan Campbell deserves it. I think he's changed the mindset of what people perceive to be good football in the city of Detroit and the culture that he's brought. I think that it's phenomenal what he's done in that city and done for that football team. So, for my coach of the year, I have Dan Campbell. Who you got, Ken?
I have Raheem Morris, first year head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. I think first year head coaches have a little, I think they win a little bit more.
They do, unfortunately. It shouldn't be the case. Let's just check
yeah.
the job that Brian Dable was doing in New York.
And I think he did a good job with Atlanta when he was an interim head coach there. And I think returning to his organization, I have the Falcons winning the NFC South. So I think he's going to do a pretty good job. I think the defense will be quite good this year, and I think a lot of people will notice how good the Falcons will be doing compared to the past few years. So I think he has a pretty good chance of winning this, and I do have the Falcons making the playoffs. So I think a lot of people are going to notice him.
Okay. Next, Comeback Player of the Year. Now, Comeback Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year is a weird award because I think we should have two. I think we should have Most Improved, and I do think we should have Comeback Player of the Year because I think there's spot for both. So the NFL should look into that. But for Comeback Player of the Year, I am actually choosing someone who is coming back from something. There's a lot of great candidates, especially at the quarterback position. Tough to pick. But I didn't want to go with the quarterback. I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins. J.K. has had some really, really bad injury luck the last couple of years. Really never been able to show what he can do. And now he's going to a team that's going to run the football a lot. Now he's going to be competing with other backs for playing time, but if he can just stay healthy and show the kind of promise that he had before his injuries, I think J.K. could have a great year, and I'm really rooting for him. So that's why I picked him for Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think that's quite a good pick. There are a lot of great candidates this year. I think I took the easy pick this year and just went for Aaron Rodgers. I think if he stays healthy and he plays well, which he should, the Jets will be great, as I had them in our record predictions. So I think after being injured for basically the entire year, he will be great, and he's going to be a pretty great candidate for this award. I think Kirk Cousins, if he has a good year, he could win it. I think J.K. Dobbins, if he does get a lot of snaps, he could win it. But I think Aaron Rodgers just has the best chance.
Okay. Next up, Offensive Player of the Year. And you may have known that I'm all in on the Lions. And that means someone from the Lions offense should be on my list. Just because I'm full in on them. So I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Had a phenomenal year last year. They do have Sam Laporta as an offensive threat through the passing game, but they don't really have a lot of good wide receiver options. I'm not sold on Jameis Williams being this outstanding outside receiver. I think they're going to lean heavy in Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta, and obviously the running game with Gibbs and Montgomery. But I'm just counting on Amon-Ra to get a lot of touchdowns this year, a lot of receptions. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year, and I have him as my Offensive Player of the Year. Who do you got, Ken?
For these Players of the Year awards, no one really stood out to me. So
Tough year to pick, I thought, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I went a little bold. Uh, and for Offensive Player of the Year, I have A.J. Brown on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles will be quite good this year. I think they had a pretty great offseason, and I think they will improve a lot and be more consistent this year. And I think that means A.J. Brown will have a pretty amazing year. And I think all of his skills that set him apart from the other receivers will be highlighted.
Hmm.
And I think Jalen Hurts will have a good year, and I think if although they will want to run the football a lot, I think AJ Brown will be a standout player in this offense, and I think he has a good chance of winning Offensive Player of the Year.
All right. Next up, Defensive Player of the Year. And since Stephon Gilmore won it in 2019, this award has kind of been a defensive lineman's award, right? I mean, Gilmore being the outlier, right? Even if you go back before that, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald. Recently we've had Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt. So I'm going to stick with that mess, and stay with the defensive lineman. And this one that I think he's due for some recognition, and that's Max Crosby. I think he's a game wrecker, and I think getting Christian Wilkins is going to help him in certain situations. Maybe he'll get more sacks, getting more pressure. As you know, as an edge rusher, if you're able to get pressure up the middle, that only helps with getting those sacks and those pressures from the edge. So I think the Raiders aren't going to be great, but I think Max is going to have a phenomenal year, and he's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, there are a lot of great options for this award. I went through a few players. Like, I think if a cornerback were to win it, I just don't know how good of a season that would have to be able to beat out the edge rushers. So I have Defensive Player of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson. So
Wow.
uh, I think Detroit will be very good this year. I think I have them as my one seed. And I think Aiden Hutchinson, he's already been very incredible and is still very young. So if he can continue to build on that, I think he might become he's already one of the best edge rushers, but he might become maybe closer to that number one
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So I think he can get a lot of sacks this year and a lot of pressures, and I think that will lead him into having a great campaign for Defensive Player of the Year.
All right. Last award, MVP, the one everybody wants, but only quarterbacks get. So I'm going to pick a quarterback, and it's going to be pretty boring. So I won't wait too much time on it. Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the league. Do I need to say more? I don't think I need to say more. Patrick Mahomes. What do you got for MVP, Ian?
For MVP, I have Josh Allen.
What? Well, explain.
Okay, so I think with the Bills having a bit of a soft rebuild that they're trying to go through, I think it's going to be Josh Allen's team,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he'll have to carry this team on his back, and I think he has some good targets, but I think he is just such a great player that he will stand out, and I think he will be able to win MVP over some other teams and some other players that might seem like they have some help, but Josh Allen will be able to carry this team, and I do think the Bills are still going to be pretty good. I have them winning the AFC East, so I think Josh Allen will be a very good candidate for MVP.
All right. Those are our awards. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. What everybody's waiting for. our picks. We're going to go AFC Championship, NFC Championship, and then Super Bowl. AFC Championship. Those two MVP candidates we just talked about. I have Patrick Mahomes taking it to Buffalo once again and beating them in the AFC Championship game. Sorry, Buffalo. It's just, is this worse than what happened in the 90s? I don't think so, but losing to Mahomes again for the fourth time? Yeah, it's going to happen. Who you got for the AFC title game?
I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Baltimore Ravens.
Back-to-back years. Rough.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's going to be the Ravens. It could be the Bills. It could be some other team that surprisingly makes a run in the playoffs. But I do have the Ravens here. I think they have a pretty good team, and the Chiefs are still great. And I think they, I don't know what can stop them from making it to the Super Bowl. So I think the Chiefs have only gone better, and they will beat the Ravens again.
All right, NFC Championship. I talked about this earlier. I talked about Dan Campbell. I talked about Amon-Ra. I get the Lions. City of Detroit, rejoice. Your Lions are Super Bowl bound, baby. They're going. And they're going to beat the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams, not necessarily going to win the division, but going to get hot in the wild card rounds, division round, make a run to the playoffs, and just run into that freight train that is the Detroit Lions. And the Lions make their first ever Super Bowl appearance. Who you got, Ken?
I have the Philadelphia Eagles, who I do think are going to be good this year, beating the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions do have a great chance of making playoffs, and there are a few teams that could make the NFC Championship. But I'm high on the Eagles this year, and I think they have a great roster. So I think they could be able to beat the Lions, and if their defense improves this year, then I think it's going to be quite difficult to beat them. So I have the Eagles beating the Detroit Lions in possibly a close game.
All right. Super Bowl pick. Kansas City versus Detroit. And I'm going to pick a team to do something that's never been done. Teams just doing something we thought we never would see. Not in our lifetimes, not ever. That means that I'm picking this team to win 3 in a row. That's right. The Chiefs beat Detroit. And so the run continues. What do you got, Ken?
So I have Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I thought about this a lot. I think this they both have great rosters, and I think it would be very difficult for either of these teams to win. And I was thinking Eagles win, Chiefs win, Eagles win, Chiefs win. But I do think this might just be me not really wanting the Chiefs to get the three-peat. But I think the Eagles can and will defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in a very, very close game. I think the Eagles' offense will be difficult to stop, and the Chiefs' defense might be pushed to its limit. I think they do have one of the best defenses in the league, but I think the addition of Saquon Barkley will help a lot in the Eagles' offense, and I think they're going to run the ball efficiently. But if for some reason that doesn't happen, I think the Chiefs would definitely win the Super Bowl. So I don't really, I guess I want the Eagles to win this one.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so those are our predictions for this year. We'll be back tomorrow with our picks for the first week. We're so excited. NFL starts on Thursday with those Chiefs we just discussed going against the Ravens. Probably for Ken, an AFC Championship preview. All right. So have a good rest of the day. Thanks for watching.